1 year ago today, I had the scariest moment of my life as a mother, something that I would never wish on anyone else. But today, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do about it. When my son Malcolm was born, he spent a week in the NICU after I had had an emergency induction to have him. And that was really hard. I thought that was going to be the worst thing I'd ever experienced as a mom. We left the NICU and went home with very strict orders on what we could and could not do and needed to do in order to keep his lungs safe. Those orders lifted all the restrictions, and right afterwards is when the whole world shut down for COVID. Now, fast forward to when my son was just 2 years old. Our pediatrician was a woman who had shamed me for not sleep training the way that she thought I should. I will never forget that she told me I should leave him in his crib to cry and not come get him unless he threw up. I didn't do that. So when Malcolm was 2 years old and not saying 5 words, and even those 5 words he was not using consistently, instead of offering any kind of help, again, she shamed me and asked if I even bothered to talk to him, let alone consider reading to him. Now, luckily at that time, we moved to this town we're in now and got a new pediatrician. And she told me that, no, I wasn't doing anything wrong. My son just needed speech therapy. And I will never forget that very first appointment that I took him to.
I had driven 45 minutes away to get to the closest speech therapy office that had any kind of availability. And I got inside and I was so excited to finally just learn more about what was going on. So I was asking the therapist questions like, what can I do about this? And how can I help? And I just wanted to support him in the best way that I could. And she held her hand up in the middle of my speaking and said, Mama, I think you would just be happier if you give up the hope of him communicating with you. Not long after that speech therapy appointment, we learned that my son was autistic, and it explained so many things, and it helped him a lot. And it was also hard. But 1 year ago was the hardest thing I've ever experienced. And that was when I woke up to my daughter coming and shaking me, saying, Mommy, Mommy, Malcolm's gone. You know, I wasn't sure what she meant. And my husband came barreling into the room and he said, Malcolm's not here. The front door is open. I'm getting in the car to go look for him. Eloping is very common, unfortunately, in the autistic community. And that is what my son had done. That's where you run or wander off. And he has no sense of danger or safety. You can look at so many instances of autistic children eloping. You know, they don't answer. A lot of kids on the spectrum don't answer to their names, so calling out for him, Malcolm, Malcolm, like, can only do so much. So my husband ran out the door, and I picked up my phone to call 911. Like many autistic children, my son cannot swim, but he is fascinated by water. And we live right by a park that has a stream and like a little lake that runs through it. But by the grace of God, Malcolm went the other direction, away from the park. The amazing officers of our police found him safe and sound. And I know that there's moms who don't get to have that ending. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that my little boy was okay. It was by far the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I remember running around the house while I was on the phone with 911. I checked the backyard, I checked his room. I kept thinking, this can't be real life. This can't be real life. He's just hiding. But in reality, he had left our house and had wandered blocks away from here. I will say that it's very vulnerable to share about this on the internet. Because anytime you see posts about an autistic child who has eloped, the armchair parenting experts love to blame the parents. At the time that happened, we had 3 special locks on our front door. We now have 4 and a door alarm. We keep the monitor in his room even though he's 7 years old, just as an extra precaution to be able to hear anything that goes on. It's not that we weren't trying to keep him safe and doing everything in our power. After that happened, it felt like things that were already very, very hard got a lot worse. We don't have any kind of reliable help. You cannot just call a babysitter for a child who needs more attention. Meltdowns are hard, and all the therapy appointments are hard. And we tried ABA therapy, but it just made things aggressively worse for him. And he was injuring himself. He was so upset, so we had to stop that therapy. And I'm not a person that asks for help very easily, but I finally reached a point where I just had to reach out and ask for help. Our church has a Mother's Day Out program here that serves children throughout the year up to the age of 5. And at the time, Malcolm was 6 years old. But I reached out and I said, is there any way we can make an exception for him? He's mostly, he had attended the program before and they all knew him. He's mostly just going to sit in the corner and read his books. He's a really easy kid to keep entertained. So I reached out and asked for help. Now, we did have a few members of our congregation who had made some unkind comments about Malcolm in the past, and I was pretty much able to let that go. I mean, it hurt. It really hurt. Then I had a situation where, first of all, my mental health was really struggling. I was in a very, very dark place. The lack of resources and support was absolutely a part of it. And I had a situation where I was in an event where there were some people from church in attendance, but it was not a church event. And the concept of autism came up because they were asking about my son, what I thought caused that autism anyway, and did I think that RFK was right and I shouldn't have taken Tylenol and screwed with his head. And then one woman, it's a grown woman, full adult, she said she had spilled a little bit of her water, kind of went to wipe it off the table and said, "Oh, sorry, I'm not crazy, I'm just wiping water. It's not like I'm over here going." She flailed her arms around and made a face and some weird sounds and said, "Oh, look at me, I'm autistic, I'm autistic." And her and the other lady from church just laughed and laughed and laughed. I still went to church that next Sunday. Because not everyone there was unkind. In fact, the ones that were unkind were such strong outliers. Other people at that church to this day, when they see Malcolm, go out of their way to speak directly to him, even though he may not answer. They're kind, they're accepting, understanding. There are some truly wonderful people there. So I still went to church that next Sunday, and that's when I was told that Malcolm would not be allowed at the MDO program because the new pastor we had just got thought that he was, after his eloping incident, he was too much of a liability. And I'm not saying that I don't understand. Like I said, my mental health at the time was not great. I pulled back on a lot of my responsibilities, and that's why you haven't seen me on YouTube in well over a year now. I also started a support group for other parents with autistic kids because I thought there just absolutely has to be somebody out there who understands what I'm going through, understands what this life is like, and who maybe can't help but can just listen and just gets it. So I started the nonprofit to open a clinic here in our town that would provide speech and occupational therapy for kids. Not just children who are autistic, but any child that needs speech or occupational therapy. After a lot of hard work, but still more hard work coming, I was able to open that clinic in April of this year. And we now see children for speech therapy, and we have occupational therapy on the way, probably within the next couple of months. In addition to that, I've also been able to train our local police department on recognizing autism and how to commute with individuals who are on the spectrum, how to communicate with somebody who is nonverbal or minimally verbal, giving them tools and resources for that. I started that off by working with another local nonprofit, and we were able to, with their help, provide an autism sensory bag to every single first responder in our town. So firefighters, police, EMS, all of them in their vehicles have a bag that is filled with tools and resources to be able to support children or adults who are on the spectrum. I'm currently working with our local police department on it's kind of like a volunteer registry for individuals who elope, where if you have a child or adult that you care for that's prone to wandering off, this could be autism or even like dementia and Alzheimer's. If you choose to, you can put their information in this registry, and when the police find someone, they can, search by their description, and they would be able to find the individual information on them, like medications they may need, as well as their caregiver's information and address and phone number. It's good to bring resources here. It's good to have the support group. All of those things are wonderful and valuable, but sometimes they're not as tangible for the family that's really struggling. And so that's what we're doing today. Today, we're thinking about the family that's really struggling, that needs something a little bit more tangible. We're making chicken and dumplings, and I've already have some brownies made up. And once a month, you and I are going to meet up here on YouTube and cook a meal together, or a few meals together, and deliver them to families who could benefit from something tangible to help them out. I'm going to call this series Be the Village, because that's kind of what it is. It's me wanting to be the village that I wish I had when I was at my lowest. Now, my hope for this is that not only will I get to bless some people in my own community, but I really hope that it will inspire you to be the village in your community in whatever way that might look like for you.
Now it's time to pack these up so I can go deliver them. I'm so grateful that these are still very warm. I'm so grateful that you spent some time with me today, and I hope that you'll stick around, subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff. But more than that, I really hope that this inspires you to do something kind for someone in your community, either today or whenever you have a chance. They're very warm. And I'm very hopeful that I do not spill them in the car. All right, well, I will see you in the next one.